Hello and welcome to another episode of Raw Chatter. It is bank holiday weekend over and done with. You're back at work. Maybe you have overindulged a little bit too much in the food, in the drink, and now it's back to normal. Or is it? Because if you actually do look at how you spent the weekend, it kind of tells you everything. Not about your discipline, if that's what you're thinking, but about what you're avoiding. This week, or last week, I suppose, I've been talking a lot about control. Last week's podcast was very much about it, trying to manage other people, trying to get them to behave in a different way, trying to say the right thing so that they then respond how you want them to respond. And here's the truth that, well, most people don't want to see. You're not trying to control them, although it certainly looks and feels that way at some times. But what you are actually trying to do is avoid how you feel. Now, for a lot of people, that hits hard. I know it actually did for me, because I really didn't think that that is what I was doing when I was turning to food and alcohol and exercise. But what it actually allowed me to do was to get a sense of relief. It's the same with food. It's the same with alcohol. It's the same with scrolling, gambling, shopping. We turn to something external and we kind of tell ourselves, well, no, I just do it because I enjoy it and I deserve it because I've been working so hard. It's a reward. Or no, I'm having it because it tastes good. But when you actually look closer, truth is, it's not pleasure that you're really looking for. It's relief. Relief from the urge, relief from the discomfort, that sense of, I don't know what to do with myself. The relief from the noise, that inner chatter in your head, from that discomfort sitting in your body, whether it's in your neck, in your shoulders, in your stomach. And so whether we're reaching for food or pouring a drink, or whether we are over-analyzing or overthinking a conversation or trying to manage somebody else's mood and feelings, is actually all the same underlying driver. We don't want to feel what's there. Which means that the thing that we think is the problem actually isn't the problem. Food isn't the problem. Alcohol isn't the problem. Gambling, smoking, online shopping, scrolling is not the problem. It's your inability to sit with discomfort. Now, that absolutely was my problem. I was one of those people, I couldn't even do silence. I would come in from wherever I'd been in the car. The music was always on in the car. There was never silence in the car. And as soon as I came home, either the TV would go on, or back in the day, the radio would go on. In other words, I couldn't even do silence. It felt that uncomfortable. And only until and unless you can see that that is what's going on, you'll do what I did. You'll start trying to change strategies. You'll start looking externally for another fix, because you don't actually realize that the problem is this inability to sit with uncomfortable, unpleasant, just discomfort, unease, uncertainty. But the more we change strategies, we end up just repeating the same pattern. And then we blame the strategy as being the thing that it doesn't work. And I've lost count of the amount of people who have told me that they've tried everything because they're looking at an external program or thing as being the fix. But it's actually what's going on in here that we need to really look at. That's the thing that is driving the feelings, the thoughts, and therefore the patterns that we keep on repeating, even though we absolutely genuinely mean it when we say, I don't want to keep doing this. I hate that I do this. If you don't understand the reason why you're doing it, then of course you're going to keep looking for quick fixes. And of course they're not going to work, because you're trying to fix the wrong thing. So instead of jumping into another week, this week, on autopilot, I'm actually giving you an invitation. An invitation to look back at the weekend and be honest. Now, I did put a post on social media about being honest over the weekend, but maybe you weren't in a space or a place to be able to do that or to even want to do it. That maybe today, depending on how you're feeling, if you're feeling a little bit shit and you're not happy in how you feel within yourself or your behavior, maybe this is exactly what you need. So I'm going to give you some questions to just kind of ask yourself. Where did you eat when you weren't actually hungry? Where and when did you decide to drink to just kind of take the edge off, to make a situation perhaps more bearable? Where were you overthinking what somebody said or what somebody didn't say, but you wanted them to say? And where were you trying to manage someone else's mood or behavior or their reaction? Now, you may have to think a little bit about those things. And here's an important thing. I want you to go beyond that. So rather than just looking at what you have written, if you have actually done it in real time with me, and if you are going to do that, then please do. The questions are actually down in the description and they are in the show notes. So maybe stop this and actually do the exercise, because if you take immediate action rather than just listening to this, rather than just consuming, actually implement this stuff. The next step is this. Don't just leave it there. Go one layer deeper. What were you actually feeling in that moment? What felt uncomfortable? And what is it that you were trying not to feel? Because this is the stuff that will really help you to start to understand what is driving you to keep on repeating the patterns that you don't like, that you say you don't want, but you can't seem to help doing, even though every part of you knows is not helping you. It's not helping you in relationships. It's not helping you in your business. It's not helping you necessarily in your finances or in your friendships or with your partner. But this is the work. It's giving yourself the space. It's giving yourself a little bit of time to get honest, not coming from a criticism, not coming from a judgmental, not trying to shame yourself or make yourself feel guilty, because those things are not going to help. They're just going to feel even more uncomfortable and have you running back to your fix. But what we need to help you to recognize is it's not about cutting things out. It's not about elimination. It's not about restriction. It's not about punishment. It's about seeing what is actually driving those behaviors. Because if you can't sit with discomfort, you will always need something to take it away. Whether it's drink, whether it's food, whether it's controlling other people, whether it's distraction, whether that's through shopping or scrolling or gambling or whatever it is, pick your poison, pick your whatever that works. But if you can learn to handle discomfort, you'll actually find that your need to keep on repeating those patterns of behavior, those habits that you've created to help yourself feel more certain, feel more safe, feel more comfortable, you won't need them as much. Now, will they disappear overnight? No. But recognize a feeling is just a signal. It's telling you something. It's energy. And it's helping you to recognize that this is something that doesn't feel great. So you need to address it. Or you can just notice it and be neutral. Now, Arthur Brooks, who I love listening to, I don't know if you know who Arthur Brooks is, if you've heard him, he teaches a course on happiness at Harvard University, and he's been a guest on a number of podcasts, and I listen to a number. I just like the way that he's very down to earth and explains this stuff in a very simple way, because simplicity is the thing. And one of the things he talks about is that it's the simple stuff that is hard, because none of what I've just asked you to do is hard. But what we tend to do is avoid it because we will feel uncomfortable. We're seeing stuff about ourselves that perhaps we don't like. We are judging. That is what we do as humans. And we tend to judge ourselves harshly and really critically, much more to ourselves than we do to other people. But he also shares about the fact that we love to complicate things, because when we complicate things, it's actually easy. It's easy. It's easiest for us not to do stuff when we complicate it. But when it's easy, when things are easy to do, right, there's not a lot of steps involved, it's quite hard. Sitting with discomfort, it's not complicated, but it doesn't feel good. And this is the thing, we can't feel good all the time. We're not meant to feel good all the time, and we're not meant to feel happy all the time. And yet we're kind of living in this delusional world where even as parents, we try and save our kids from feeling unhappy. We try and stop them from feeling discomfort. Why? Why are we doing that? Why are we robbing our children of learning the skills of being able to handle uncertainty, disappointment, discomfort? Because we are going to feel those feelings through life. We have to. It's how we'll get through it. It's how we'll manage the stuff that gets thrown at us that we did not expect. And absolutely every single human being that I have spoken to, and I know the same is for you because you are also a human being too, we all have had life journeys that contained events and circumstances that we never could have expected or planned for. But yet we get our knickers in a twist and we get ourselves so upset about trying to plan the future and deciding it's going to be a certain way, when actually you don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. We're really good at, as humans, we are designed to be prediction machines and adaptation machines. So we will predict things based upon the past and the experiences that we've had, because we like patterns and we like things to be similar. But we're also really good at adapting. And that's why we're able to start to adapt to taking on board, particularly the body, more stuff than it actually is good for it, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's medication, whether it is working too hard and sleeping too little. The body will adapt, and therefore we tell ourselves, well, I'm fine then. All is well. I haven't got any major symptoms. I am not falling apart. We hear terms like functional alcoholic and workaholic, and we think, well, these things actually are something to be revered and good. But actually, no, as far as your body and brain is concerned, you can't see the damage, but it's happening. It's happening internally, and it will come out. It will come out in an autoimmune issue. It might come out in something worse than that. It might come out in a mental health problem. It may come out in physical symptoms where you have got aches and pains and you can't function. And when we think about, the type of things that happen to people, yes, we've got things like cancers and heart attacks, but we don't necessarily relate things like hip problems and arthritis with how we are treating our body on a daily basis, because it's not obvious. This stuff compounds, it happens over time. And the habits that we are using to stop feeling a certain way, or to help ourselves to feel okay with feeling uncomfortable, these are the things that we need to learn to manage. And it's a skill. It's a skill that often we're not allowed to learn as kids because our parents think they're being nice and loving and kind by saving us from uncomfortable feelings. But in my book, that's not nice, and it's certainly not kind, because it means that we're creating generations of kids who are full of anxiety and can't handle uncertainty at all, and they need to keep asking, what do you think, what should I do? Because they have not been given the opportunity to hone the skill of feeling uncomfortable, of feeling uncertain, of feeling unsafe, and knowing, actually, do you know what? It will pass. It will pass, and these feelings won't kill you. But the solution that you are turning to very well might, not necessarily as it is in and of itself, but as a consequence of continuing to turn to it. So if you're successful on paper, but you're still relying on these patterns to cope, then maybe we should talk. Send me a message, put a comment below the description if you are watching on YouTube, or leave me a comment in the comments section on Spotify and Apple. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you have found this helpful, give me a thumbs up, give me a like. And if you think it's going to be helpful to somebody that you know, please do pass it on to them. Because my mission is to help people to stop struggling unnecessarily and to help them to understand what the actual problem is and to stop trying to fix the thing that actually is the solution to the problem. And if that's you, it's not as hard as you think. When you start in the right place for you and you do the steps in a way that doesn't feel too much to handle, you'd be amazed how quickly you can transform how you think, how you feel, and how you function. And I'm going to leave you with this, as I always do. We only have one life, as far as we know, and one body. So please take care of it, because it is taking care of you. Until next week, bye-bye.